한해의 히스토리, 짜릿한 승부를 보여줄 역전의 명수들이 온다. 스타크래프트2 최강 팀들의 전쟁. 우승컵을 가져갈 팀은 과연 어디일 것인지.
Welcome back to the GSTL, where Oz is being quite the wizard, showing his stuff, really winning a base trade on Muspelheim. You know, we talked about this so much. We said, well, why would he choose this map? What did he have planned? And Oz, I think, might have been wondering the same thing. So instead of just playing a normal game and waiting to find out, he changed the way Yu-Gi-Oh had to play that game because he played a weird build, he did an interesting opening, and Yu-Gi-Oh kind of had to change things up as a result.
Oz definitely worked his magic in the last game, and he was able to take the second win for his team. So now it's up to Koka.
Yep, curly-haired Koka, man, coming into the booth, sitting down. This guy got an all-kill last time, and he looks ready.
Yeah, he definitely does. And on the other hand, if Oz is able to beat Koka here, then suddenly we have a tied score, and this is going to be very exciting. So let's see what exactly is going to happen on Atlantis Spaceship. This is our next map.
Yep, this is going to be a tough map for Oz to win on. Koka has shown impressive play here already. He's got a 100% win rate on this map, even in fact. And calling him Conan in chat, that's why they're laughing. Whenever I see them laugh, I'm like, what are they talking about?
They do what?
They're calling him Conan. Do you know Detective Conan?
I thought about Conan the Barbarian, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Alright, here we go. The map is loading. Slayers may be able to pull themselves into a further lead here. It's all up to Oz. This is the GSTL with Caldor and Wolf. You have to imagine the Atlantis Space Bear dancing to that dubstep song to really fully appreciate that map intro.
I guess so. Weird pictures in my head now. And well, to the top right we have our Protoss player. He's starting for the Fnatic team. So far played very well today. It is
Fnatic Late Call Oje.
There he is, former FX Open player, Heights Sparky's player and coach from Blueborg.
Very, very focused here. And his opponent starting at the bottom left. Very, very strong Zerg. This is
Flayers Koka.
Former Zenex player.
And he definitely wants a couple more wins in the GSTL. He wants to climb the ranking.
Yep. This guy is quite fierce. StarCraft 2 can be watched 24/7. Never too tired for more StarCraft 2. Definitely not with Hot 6 on the menu. I would agree 100%. Look at that pylon placement.
I'm really excited what exactly they are going to do here, especially, I mean, Koka, he's scouting a lot here. He wants to make sure that there is no shenanigans going on, that Oz is not trying to proxy something here, which is obviously not the case, but still.
Oz is actually like the only player who ever 2-gate proxies Zergs in televised matches. So I guess that's something to be careful about.
He's starting with the Nexus first here, and that's definitely something that he can pull off on this map. It's of course a very, very big map. You can already see on the minimap that the distance between the two bases is quite large. And well, right now we have the pool already down for Koka, who actually started with a hatch first as well. So a little bit different, something that you can do on this map.
And Oz is going gate before Forge as well as getting an assimilator. So, you know, it looks like some of these Protoss players are really trying to cut the Forges out of the build. At least originally we saw Naniwa do something like this. Now we're seeing Oz do it twice in a row.
The thing that I want to mention is that we've seen a couple of places lately where an early hatch for a Zerg player was punished by cannons. But the problem is that the map has to allow it. You can actually see the natural right now. This is actually brilliant. Have a look at how much space there is between the mineral patches and behind the mineral patches. This is really important because if you have a position like this, even when if your opponent, or even when he goes for some kind of build like this, if you place down a pylon and starts to use his cannons, you can still pull the drones and defend against it. It's much harder if you can actually just build 2 pylons and make sure that the drones don't get in, build the cannon in the middle. That is a lot harder to defend against, but on a map like this with so much space behind the mineral patches, it's definitely doable. So him going for a hatch first is not as risky as it might seem at first glance.
You're right, and actually I really want to commend Oz on his building placement. In both games his buildings were so well placed. He had only gates as part of his wall, which is a tough wall, with just the 1 space for even a Stalker to get through. Now he's got 3 gates. When I was watching him make it, I was like, oh, this is just a second gateway early, he can cancel it if he needs to, but actually no, there's a gap again. It's perfect. Probes and Zealots can sneak right through there without a hitch, no problem. Oh, and even with the Queen patch, man, this probe is going to get into the main. He will be able to see the gases most likely if he micros this well, and it looks like he will.
Yeah, he just walks around the creep because he knows that the Queen will not be able to follow him as soon as it leaves the creep. And right now he just sends one of his Zealots over as well. The Harvester count, as you can see, is dead even at this point. And a lot of scouting information here for also just sneaks in, but well, the Zerglings will catch up with the probe eventually and take it down.
He is putting on a lot of pressure, and this is pressure that Crosses, until recently, have not been able to put on. I love this. This is actually, I want to talk about this more because this is like a Nexus first that still has really fast pressure. Look at Kokaz having to pull his drones here a little bit. He has to wait for the Queen. I love this.
This is exactly why Protoss start to use gateways more often, especially because, well, let's focus on what's happening right now, because the Queen is going down and there is no speed. That is the main thing that we are talking about here.
No speed and
players are playing so greedy right now against Protoss. They always try to go for the 3 base. They take gas very, very late. The speed is late, and this is something that allows Protoss players to start with a gateway again, to start to pressure their opponent, because with such a late speed timing and the early gateway, you have suddenly a lot of potential to just kill your opponent. Well, maybe not kill him early on, but do a lot of damage and cripple his economy.
Yeah, he's definitely already crippled that economy with how many lings have been made. He's made 15, 16 lings in total here. That's 8 less drones, and now look at this micro from Oz splitting the Stalkers. Speed has not even begun yet, and he knows it. He saw the timing of that 3rd hatchery, he saw the gas timing with the probe, and he is really making a punish for it.
Yeah, and more Zerglings have to be built. There is gas being mined for Koka already, but this is a lot of damage that he's taking, but still... Oz gets out of that corner! That was really scary for those 2 Stalkers, and they were quite happy of how Oz handled things, but then suddenly they get trapped after all.
And meanwhile, back at home, Oz defends against a Zergling run by without losing a single unit, almost losing a Stalker, going down to 17 hit points, but he holds it off with a good force field. And, I mean, Oz is actually, he is trading so well right now. Almost even in worker count, 44 to 47 right now. This guy, with this build, I am just so impressed by this. The only disadvantage he has, I guess you could argue, is that his +1 is going to be much later than he would with a Forge Fast Expand, but he has done so much damage. 15 drones on the way.
But the problem is, actually, the damage that he's done in terms of resources, they lost the same amount. The problem was that he lost those 2 Stalkers on their way back. That was actually a big problem for him, because right now he doesn't have a single unit on the map, he doesn't have control over the Zilnaga Watchtower, and he did a lot of pressure. He forced those Zerglings, he made sure that Koka could not drone up like crazy, but losing the units was definitely a bit of a problem. He microed so well, but he did not see that there was a second wave of Zerglings coming in to surround them.
Yep. Now he's going to continue to chrono boost, and he is doing so. Chrono boosting now his Observer and his +1. Not chronoing probes at all right now, interestingly enough, but is getting a Dark Shrine, which is a great follow-up to this. He's going to have to deal with this Overlord, which is why he's chrono boosting out that Observer. He wants to shut it down, and will he actually be able to get this? It's actually hard to say. With the Zerglings coming in here, he has to kind of split up a little bit, and the Overlord will escape for now.
The problem is that Koka right now, he's actually not droning. He has a lot. He has 20 lava. He has the resources as well. He's waiting for the Roach Warren to finish to start his production, apparently. He's not going to drone at all here, which is a bit weird to me, because if you look at the worker count, he's at 58 to 53. But 58 drones on 3 bases, this is not... Well, this is not the best saturation that you can have. by far.
Yeah,
so
he's very much so, I want to say, playing defensively. He wants to make sure he doesn't die to any sort of weird shenanigans and forcing a force field to be dropped there. He did not, however, see the Dark Shrine despite the Overlords getting close. He has no idea about it. It's about to finish. He has a Warp Prism floating across the map as well, and he will fly into an Overlord path with this, actually, unfortunately for him, but if he doesn't spot this right away, he might be in trouble. He needs to morph an Overseer right away.
But his macro definitely slipped there for a moment. He had way too many resources and did not get rid of them right away, so that was a bit sloppy. I think he was just busy with these attempts that he made and with just having a quick glimpse at his opponent's base, but still, he could have dealt with this a bit better. That would put him in a more comfortable situation right now. He's trying to run by at the top right and sniping off one of those. Oh, the Immortal. No, it dies. The Immortal's at the top right. He couldn't see it on screen. It died. At the same time, though, these DTs are being picked off thanks to the Overseers.
Yep, he did lose the Warp Prism as well, but the 1 DT in the main is actually starting to rack up some kills, up to 5 now, 6, 7 kills on that DT in the main base. You guys did not see a second Warp Prism has been started, and it looks like Oz is moving out to take a third. He's got a ton of resources banked up, though, that he needs to start spending.
And he needs to spend his resource, but at the same time, the thing is that Oz is down in army supply, but he's warping in more units, and even if Yu-Gi-Oh! Decides to attack right now, by the time that he arrives at his opponent's base, Oz will be ready for him. And Yu-Gi-Oh!, as I said earlier, he was slipping a little bit in his macro. He had a ton of lava, he had the supply, he had basically everything, but he did not really build any supply blocked again, by the way.
Yeah, Koka, though, will actually spot this Nexus, and that's really important, is Zergling is positioned, so Koka's going to feel pretty comfortable knowing, okay, I see your Nexus here, and now I know what's going on. I know that the attack that's coming out from you is going to be something that I can defend with my Infestors if you decide to commit, and that would be a mistake by you, but also, I'm going to get aggressive here. I'm going to attack. This is a big map. The Nexus that you're taking is pretty far away from your natural where you have a fortified defense, so if you spread yourself too thin with the amount of Infestors I have out, I have the Pathogen Glance upgrade, 7 Infestors on the map right now, and with the amount of links he has, he's going to try to force a cancel. He could even, if he wants to, split his links to the other side.
But I don't... That is too much. The army for Oz is looking really good. He has 8 sentries. And
oh, and DT goes for the assassination, but fails.
8 sentries in this position if he uses the force fields correctly. Oh, but he needs to make sure that he's not getting fungal, and he used Blink already. Blinks away here, and here comes Koka trying to make this work, trying to get close enough for a fungal. We have the infested turrets, and there's the fungal on the sentries. Most of them already, well, dead and damaged, and Oz is losing a lot here. He's being forced back. He attacks in a position that is not really to his advantage, and Koka still, he will probably lose this fight, but took a lot of damage nonetheless.
Yeah, Oz losing those sentries is pretty critical, but the key here is that, yeah, he's even going to clean up these roaches. The Infestors go home, but the Nexus stays alive. And those are, I think, the 2 most important things for each respective race. Okay, I keep my Infestors, but he keeps the Nexus. So, alright, now how do we move on from here? 4th base going up, he's taking the triple gas base. He's got +2 finishing up right now. Will he start Hive soon? That's the question. When is he going to start that Hive tech, and how will Oz respond? Oz with +3 halfway done right now, so he's very ahead in upgrades in that regard. Right now, they're both on +2, but that's not going to be the case forever.
Koka has nearly no drones mining in his main base. I think that he does not really know that his drone count is a little bit low. I think he missed that.
Yeah.
He's on 61 right now, which is okay, but up to like a minute ago, he was like on 51, and he had the minerals floating as well.
And even so, you know, he should be floating at 70 to 80 at least right now on this many bases.
I just didn't see it.
You're right. I think you're so right in this regard. And this is going to become a problem for him as Oz has the better worker count and has this 3rd base up. This attack, I think, may be a mistake. Good force fields here. There's a lot of Immortals and even cannons to help out.
He's moving in right now with a lot of infested Swarm eggs. Of course, we have a bunch of Immortals in the army composition as well, but are they able to stay alive here? And Oz is hard-pressed for sure, but on the other hand, with the cannons to back him up and all these units, it's just too much for Koka to do any real damage to the economy.
A second time, though, he trades basically energy for units. He keeps his Infestors alive, and he took out all the Immortals, but his Infestors, oh, he loses both of them, getting a fungal there, but it does not finish off several of those Stalkers, so in the end, a better trade there for Oz, but He could have gotten out with the Infestors. He got out with some of them. He did not lose all of his Infestors. And he took out those expensive Immortals.
The thing is, if you play this style, you have to have a good economy, and that's something that Koka does not have. I think that when earlier on Oz attacked, Koka was so hard-pressed that he actually did not realize that he was not focusing on his drones again. There were only 9 kills so far by Oz, but we have 4 bases now for the Zerg play with only 65 drones. And
that's less than ideal.
This is a lot less, a lot more than he had earlier. So this is what he lacks right now. He doesn't have this economy that you can make this Roach composition work. And there's also not a real transition. He has a ton of Infestors that he tries to put to some use here. But Oz is in a very, very good position. He's defending, he's on 3 bases, he's getting these upgrades. Yep. It's a strong attack, but...
And he's got 16 Infestors out right now.
There will be a lot of Infested Terrans,
yeah,
and
here they are. Stalker's blinking back, another cannon finishing up here. It's going to add some extra DPS. A lot of these Roaches not really able to fire, though.
1,000 minerals, by the way, for Koka right now, not building anything as we speak. What about Oz? He still has resources. Can he warp in units? He's in cooldown. But now all those Stalkers blinking away from the Infested Terrans, doing a great job here, and he will hold. He's going to hold his Nexus once again.
But he has actually traded so well with the energy versus the Stalkers. He gets away. His Infestor count now up at 18, adding 4 more Infestors right now, and they are going to run away. Oz needs some answer for this. He needs Colossi, he needs High Templar, because against this many Infested Terran eggs, eventually you guys just saw the Stalkers started to die. Even if he blinks them back perfectly, they just die. And that's no resources lost for Koka, who's now nearing max again.
That is definitely the biggest problem that he has. Earlier on, he used a lot of Roaches. This time he was also relying on Zerglings, which only cost him a few minerals. And this trade that you mentioned with energy against actual units, this is really something that Koka is banking his hope on right now. And he has a lot more Infestors right now. He's on 22 and moving on. And Oz doesn't have an answer. He doesn't build anything else. He's trying to take the Infestors down. The force field trapped them. But once again, a lot of Infested Terrans that join the battle. And here comes Oz trying to defend, but Koka, he is just slowly but steadily whittling away at his opponent's army.
Koka was known for his Infestors in this matchup before he breaks through Oz's wall, but his Roaches are in an awkward position here. Now that the gateway is gone, though, he can continue. A lot of the Infested Terrans he spawned, though, not really able to do a whole lot right now as they are very slow off creep, but even so, this is a great trade for Koka, who's on 4 bases. He doesn't have the best drone count in the world, but Oz is in dire straits right now. He is desperately trying to defend. He's going to lose his Cybernetics core.
The problem is that Oz does not have, as you mentioned, he doesn't have anything against those Infestors. He has no Colossi that can use the long range in order to take down a few of them. He doesn't have Templars for feedback. He just is relying on his Stalker composition, and that's something that will at some point be a problem. He needs to change things up a little bit.
Yeah, he's making his core again now, so he can continue to make some of those very important Stalkers that you mentioned, but no robotic support bay, and he has the resources to make it. He could absolutely do that. And it's almost as if he's afraid of starting out with a low Colossus number against this many Roaches. On the map right now, we have 26 Roaches with 7 more on the way. So around that 40 Roach number, when you only have 1 or 2 Colossi, it's scary because the Roaches just target you down. Here we go, we're going to have another engagement. Looks like Koka's not going to commit, though. He doesn't have a lot of energy on those first Infestors, but the ones that just joined the group, they do. And I think he's going to fight a second time at the 3rd base of Oz right now. And Oz is spread a little bit thin here. He's trying to decide exactly which angle to move in.
It's just so many Infestors, and even though Oz has the money floating, he's not going for any kind of tech, and Koka decides it's time to transition, it's time to go for Spire, it's time to go for Hive. He is going straight for the Broodlords while attacking once again. He's using the Infested Terrans. There are 22 Infestors in his army, and look at this. This is actually so horrifying. Oz is looking at this, he's like, how do I defeat this? He's trying to blink back with the Stalkers, but I think it's just too much.
Well, it's definitely going to be a great trade for Koka, that's for sure. He's not losing anything here. Roach is supporting these Infested Terrans. It's like a Roach Marine army. GG, well played. Oz attempting to take a 4th, not able to do so. Never was able to really engage cost efficiently and take out all those Infestors. And a long, slow push to victory from Koka.
Yeah, Koka with those attacks, though, they were really, really well done. He certainly... The one thing that I loved about Koka, you pointed out in the game, and I want to stretch it once again, is that he did something a lot of Zergs actually forget or miss. Every single time he attacked, he moved his Infestors back away. That was the first thing that he did. He moves in, he does what he wants to do. He drops the Infested Terrans, and then before he concentrates on anything else, he moves them back. That is every single time was the first thing that he did in the fight to make sure that these really gas-heavy tech units, that they don't die. And that is so important if you want to pull something like this off. It was really, really well done. Maybe he slipped on 1 or 2 occasions with his macro a little bit, but it did not really matter because he just made up for it with his micro, with his strategy, how he used this, and Oz. Well, Koga was, I don't want to really say lucky, but it worked to his advantage that Oz did not have an answer to the Infestors, that we didn't see feedback, and that we didn't see any kind of, well, maybe Colossus with an extended thermal lance.
And, you know, it's a tough transition to make when there are that many roaches on the field. You have to make it before you steal this. You can't suddenly go, well, he's got Infestors on my door, I guess I should make a Templar Archives, because then you don't have enough Templar. You can't even feedback the Infestors because there's so many roaches in front of them. And the same can be true with the Colossi. You have 1 or 2 Colossi against that many roaches, you're just going to lose them. They're not even going to do the DPS they need. They're never going to connect with the Infestors because they have to get through the Infested Terrans first. And, you know, that's something where if you have Storm, if you have Colossi, they not only help against Infestors, but the Infested Terrans as well. He just was never able to make that switch. And it was too late, and Koga just kept sending across the map over and over and over again. And, I mean, the most important thing we both said already is he never lost his Infestors. He kept building up that count. It was a little bit freaky, honestly. It really was.
That definitely was a little bit freaky. You're perfectly right. And, well, this puts Fnatic now in a little bit of a dire situation because they are on a score with a 2 against 4 points on the scoreboard, and they have to send out their last player.
And it has to be Alive, I think. But this is going to be a tough opponent for him.
Exactly. Alive now up against Koga. This is not really a match where he's comfortable with.
And it's not just like...
But who else can you send out? There's just no one who has the experience to
Exactly. No one has the experience to play against the 3 players they need to beat. Yeah. It's not just Koga. It's Koga and 2 other mystery players that we don't even know who it's going to be. It could be Crank, for example.
Well, definitely MMA.
MMA.
That's a given. But
of course. So you've got 3 players you've got to beat. And you cannot send someone like Ares out here, even if Ares is looking extremely good against Zerg right now. He doesn't have the experience, and he can't beat 3 players. You have to send someone out like Alive who has experience in the GSTL booth and the individual league.
Who has at least a chance. Yeah, it's a small chance, but he has at least a chance to pull it off. Has to be him sitting to the top left.
Yep. Even without Fnatic colored hair, they can rely on this guy. It is Fnatic Alive coming up. He is the last hope for this team in the Team League this season.
It's the last man standing, and here we have his opponent.
Yep. Koga, Ryung whispering in his ear before. No one will ever know what he told him. The map of choice, I don't need to tell you guys, is Antigua Shipyard. I'll tell you anyways. I don't need to tell you guys, but listen, it's at Antigua. Alive did make the right choice.
Antigua Shipyard certainly will give him a bit of an edge over his opponent here. And I'm interested to see what Fnatic Alive is going to do here. For Koga, everything went well so far on map number 1. Or in his first game was able to defeat Oz. Now he is up against Alive. This is definitely a very tough opponent.
Yep. Alive narrowly...
First versus turn.
Yes, actually, you're right. Alive narrowly able to advance in Code A. He's almost found himself facing elimination from the GSL just the other day, but was able to edge out the victory, and now here he is in the GSTL, the last man standing. He's had a lot of pressure situations to deal with recently, but because of this, he's had the experience in this place, in this moment where his team needs him the most. We'll see if he can do it. Koga, though, is no easy opponent.
Koga is so strong. We saw it in the last map. He's just very, very aware of what he... Well,
he knows what he's doing. He knows the situation he's in and how to use what he has.
Yeah, I'm trying to describe how exactly I feel about this. It's just... He's very cautious about what he does. It's not like he's reluctant to commit to an attack, but even in the heat of the battle, he always keeps it together and always thinks about his next move already.
Yep. Here we go. It is time. This could be very well our final match. It's all down to Alive. He's Fnatic's last hope. He's playing against Koga. This is the GSTL with Caldor and Wolf. Let's jump into Antigua Shipyards.